Hi y'all. Hey y'all. What it is? It's your favorite YouTuber. It's I'm just gonna leave my name anonymous. But okay, like 3 weeks ago, a month ago is called this number and ordered up. Basically, I called this number and I invited a pretty girl to come to my house and live with me. And then okay, but the girl never came to my side of the house to live with me. The girl went on the wrong side of the house uh to live with a fugitive on the run from the law, mentally retarded redneck cokesucker whorebag. Which of course is the person illegally trespassing on my property, sitting there running a meth kitchen, having disgusting sexual relations with her dog, sexually abusing her children, calling the police, making false police reports while under the influence. And then, she sits there and flabs her dick liquor like a stupid motherfucker, making no sense. And most of the time, these Depew police are mentally retarded right along with her to believe her stupid shit. And I'm real fucking sick of that bullshit. And then, I call a certain number, and I'm like, hey, yeah, we have a problem. This mentally retarded redneck scumbag off my property needs to get the fuck off my private property. And fucking, I'm over there, and then Ms. Latina officer from Depew Police Station, she pulls up to my house at no time at all. She's like, Andre, what in the fuck do you think you're doing? And I'm like, well, what am I doing? Okay, well, I'm knocking on my girlfriend's side of the house, and I'm asking her to spend a wonderful evening with me. And she's like, what makes you think she wants you? I'm like, cause I called her personal phone number, you idiot. And and then Ms. Latina officer's like, oh, nobody lives there. Nobody lives there. You're a lying sack of shit. Cause I just called this person, and 2 minutes later, I heard the door slam. So why the fuck would I call someone and 2 minutes later hear a door slam and nobody was there? You're a lying sack of shit. And okay, well, this is low life waste product inbred redneck scumbag on my property, sitting there having profane sexual relationships with her doggy dog and sexually abusing her gay half-black Bato boy, and sitting there running a meth kitchen. But I called the cops, and the cops come to my house. There's like, Andre, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. And I'm like, how do you explain all the lights are on that half of the property? They're like, window glare off a star. Yeah, that's it. I'm like, yeah, okay, officer, okay. You're a lying sack of shit. Window glare off a star pane. And that's why the whole half of the house is lit up like a Christmas tree. Hey, officer, I'm not motherfucking retarded just as you look, you stupid asshole. Window star off a glare pane. Lit up the whole motherfucker like a Christmas tree. You stupid motherfucker. Are you mentally retarded, you little stupid asshole? Window star off a glare pane. Lit up the whole motherfucker like a Christmas tree. What? Anyhow, is every night I'm calling up some beautiful women to come to my side of the property and have a wonderful evening with me. But, my girls get here, and mentally retarded inbred redneck scumbag flings open her door. She's like, oh, come on, girls, in here, come on, girls, in here. And, it's unclear, wait, why the fuck are my women going to that side of the property when I basically said, wonderful evening, passionate romance, baby making sex. You're such a precious angel, and I am your beloved sacred daddy, Francois. So why in the fuck would my girls go on to a disgusting low-life hillbilly who's profound Alabama sleazebag? Okay, well, I said French. I didn't say disgusting Alabama sleazebag. Okay, well, I come out of my house and I come knocking on the other side of the door, and I'm like, yo, beautiful wifey, I just called on the phone and asked you to come move in with me. Beautiful wifey, please open the door. And, this girl, this rotten bitch, would sit on the left side of the property, blatantly refusing to show me any love or give me vagina. It's like, I I knew you. I knew you for years. I call you over to my private residence to have a wonderful evening with me. But you run up onto the left side of the property and you sit there like a rotten bitch, blatantly refusing to show me any type of affection. I'm knocking on the door and I'm like, hey, honey, open up, honey. Honey, it's your husband, honey, open up. I would like to talk to you. And, Ms. Latina officer pulls up in her police cruiser in no time at all, jumps out the car talking shit. She's like, Andre, what in the fuck do you think you're doing? And I'm like, I called this woman over here for a wonderful evening and a night of passionate romance. And she's like, well, there's no one there, Andre. There's no one there. You hear no dog barking, and you hear no dog barking, and you hear no activity in your house. And I'm like, no, I exactly do hear a dog barking. And I can see the left side of the house lit up like a Christmas tree. And this stupid motherfucker kept trying to argue with me. And I'm like, alright, Miss Latina officer, I'm not motherfucking retarded just as you look, you little stupid asshole. Alright, there ain't no such fucking thing as a window glare pane off a window star. Lit up a whole motherfucker. What? That don't even sound right. That makes no sense. Window glare off a window star pane. Lit up a whole motherfucking... Lit up a whole house like a Christmas tree. Window star glare off a window star pane. Yeah, officer, you don't deserve your badge and you don't deserve your suit you're wearing. With that kind of stupid bullshit. Window star pane off a window star glare. Are you fucking retarded? Okay, and Ms. Latina officer has a very nasty habit of getting vagina from a married man's woman. Ms. Latina officer likes to play keeps with a married man's woman. And, she... At one point, she was under investigation for that bullshit. And Ms. Latina officer likes to say, she's not your woman. She's not your woman. She's not your wife, even though she has a wedding ring on her finger, and you have a matching wedding ring to make a pair. Somehow she was not my woman. And I'm like, okay, well, if she's not my woman, why did she forward me explicit pictures of her pretty body? She's like, oh, well, that don't mean nothing. That's every day. That don't mean nothing. And I'm like, really? Miss Latina officer, there's actually There's actually an explicit picture of you getting milked like a dairy cow. She's like, what did you say? Andre, you're gonna get yourself in a lot of trouble. And I'm like, how? You're the one with the picture. I'm not the one with the picture, but you're the one with the picture. She's like, Andre, did you take your pills today? And I'm like, what fucking pills? I was never on no pills. Oh, you mean, the doctor, or, Buffalo Psychiatrics, Buffalo, or BPC Lancaster. I had them all locked up and now they're serving life in prison because they tried to murder me by slipping me anthrax? Oh, that doctor. Okay, well, as I told you, I don't go to that doctor because they tried to slip me some anthrax and assassinate me. And that's why they're all sitting in jail for life. She's like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I'm like, I didn't ask you. I don't give a fuck what you believe or what you don't believe. You're not me, and you don't know shit about me. She's like, uh-huh. Andre, do you want to go to ECMC? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to ECMC. I want you to take care of my fucking problem. She's like, come on, Andre, get your things. You're going to ECMC. And I'm like, all right. I don't want no conversation. I don't want no confrontation. I don't want no confrontation. I'm not hostile. I really don't believe in aggression all that much. So, you know what, officer? Please call me an ambulance so I can go down to ECMC and talk to somebody of my own free will. She's like, I don't like your attitude. And I'm like, what attitude? And I fucking... This stupid motherfucker was getting real belligerent with me. And I broke out my house phone. And I called a certain number. And I'm like, yeah, hi. I have a Depew police officer that's acting like a rotten scumbag sack of shit. Please remove this scumbag from my property. She's like, Andre, are you retarded? Oh, Andre, I'm trying to help you, Andre. Calling your people and making threats on an officer is not very wise. And, I'm like, just then, two armed guards in heavy body armor walk up to my house and drag Ms. Latina officer off the property, kicking and screaming. And I'm like, yeah, who's not wise now, you stupid whore? And then, okay, well, so for some reason or another, I end up going to ECMC or something like that because, wound up going to ECMC because Ms. Latino officer struck me with her switchblade, and I had to go get my cut cleaned up. So I went to the hospital with my phone in my pocket, and I was there, and my nurses are real nice to me, and they're like, Andre, why are you here? Who's starting problems with you now? And I'm like, oh, it's this Latina officer of Depew Police Station. She's a dirty whore, and she has a very nasty habit of getting vagina from a married man's woman. And my nurses are like, oh yeah, we heard all about that. We heard all about that bitch. We're gonna get that bitch in some real deep shit. And fucking, I'm only there for 5 minutes. They're like, okay, Andre, looks like you're gonna be discharged. Take a couple sandwiches and take a couple cookies with you. You're free to go. And I go home. And the next door neighbors called the cops and says, and Ms. Latina officer comes beating on my door like there's something very fucking wrong with her in her head. She's like, Andre, open the door right now. Andre, open the door right now. You were never supposed to come home. Open the door right now. And I'm like, and I basically shut off all my lights. And I made a phone call. And I had that scumbag sack of shit escorted off the property again. And then Ms. Latina officer, she's screaming at the top of her DSL like a piece of shit. She's like, yeah, get off me. I'm like, wow, Ms. Latina officer, for someone who thought you were hot shit, you were just yoked up and made a bitch. And then and I must have left my house phone at ECMC, and I called up my number, my beautiful French wife, and I'm like, hi, beautiful French wife, I left my house phone at ECMC. Please get my house phone. And she goes and picks up my house phone. And my beautiful French wife sitting there looking at all the numbers, and she's like, and then, she must have she must have had some kind of thought, because apparently she was trying to have my life thrown away. And I'm like, and I call on another number, and I ask, hey, where's my phone? I'm reporting a stolen phone. And then nobody answers me, and and then 2 days later is I have a problem with my woman, and she's over there flipping the fuck out, and I call a number, and I'm like, oh, hi, yeah, my woman is showing full-blown psychosis, and she's She's flipping out and acting very crazy. And they take her to ECMC. And then Ms. Latina officer decides to try and bring her back to the house. And then now Ms. Latina officer has got my other house phone. She's like, here you go, baby. In case your husband decides to report you for being crazy. And Miss Latina officer gave her my house phone. And and then every night I'm flirting with my woman. Hey, babe, come over. Hey, babe, come over. And every night as my woman would abuse substances and call cops on me with my phone. Okay, and as I said, as Ms. Latina officer comes to my door, she's like, "Hey, Andre, what in the fuck do you think you're doing? I'm getting reports that you're harassing this young girl," and I'm like, "No, I'm most certainly not harassing. I'm most certainly not harassing no one." She's like, Then why do they have records? And how would they have gotten records? How would they have gotten records unless they broke into my house, stole my private property, and was trying to make up false sob stories that never actually even happened? She's like, and I'm like, you know what, Ms. Latina officer, don't come to my house no more. Don't come to my house no more. She's like, excuse me? And I'm like, yeah, don't come to my house no more. She's like, you don't make that decision. And I slammed the door in her face. And I'm calling my phone number. And she's banging on the door. She's like, Andre, you better open the door right now. We're going to have a serious problem. Andre, it's not wise. It's not wise to make threats on an officer. And, two guards show up and drag Ms. Latina officer off the property, kicking and screaming. And I'm like, yeah, and very clearly we're seeing that Ms. Latina officer is not wise. Alright, so, it's been a month and a half now, and, this low-life, inbred, redneck, scumbag sack of shit is still on my property, and she won't get off my property. Every night I keep calling guards to remove her off the property, but 2 hours later, she returns back to the property. And, okay, and, no, she's sitting there with my phone, illegally siphoning my data plan, and, she's over there flipping the fuck out, and I had no other choice because she has my phone number. She has my my other phone and she has my other contact. And, I called the cops and I'm like, yeah, officer, this mentally retarded redneck crackhead is sitting there running around with his shotgun, shouting death threats at me through the door. And then the two officers come to my house. They're like, Andre, there's nothing here. Cut the shit, Andre. There's no one here. And I'm like, then who in the fuck just screamed at me? Who in the fuck just screamed at me saying they're gonna kill me? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And all of a sudden, this redneck piece of shit comes walking up to the property out of nowhere. And she's like, yeah, I told him to shut his fucking mouth or I told him to shut his fucking mouth or I'm gonna end him. And I'm like, well, there you go, officer. She just threatened to take my life. And she's like, and they're like, I didn't hear that. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to talk to your neighbor. And then a man with a shaved head and a short beard comes out. He's like, Andre, I'm fucking sick of you calling the cops every night, and you're harassing. And you know what? I'm gonna call your fucking landlord, and you're gonna face eviction over this bullshit. And I'm like, I don't have a landlord. He's like, no, you have a landlord. Everybody has a landlord. Oh, and this is not cathedral. This is house. And I'm like, okay, well, when I called a certain number and I had your people imported to America, why? For you to approach me and put threats on my life? And he's yelling at the top of his lungs like a piece of shit. And I'm like, okay, officer, I don't want any trouble. So I called a certain number, and I had them investigated. And yeah, well, now they're being investigated. Yeah. Why? Because you don't fuck around with Catholics. I mean, that's first of all. If anybody was fucking around with a Catholic, they're gonna be very sorry in no time at all. You don't fuck around with Catholics. That much is clear. And I called a certain number. And I had them rotten motherfuckers in some deep shit. And I never heard from them again. But, the disgusting redneck piece of trash comes to my property again. And, I tried to, the cops weren't trying to give me back my cell phone, so tried to knock on the door, and I said, look, who's ever in there, please let me in so I can get my belongings. And then the redneck scumbag sack of shit comes running up out of nowhere. She's like, I'm sick of you. Don't touch my fucking door. I'm getting real sick of you. And she called the fucking cops, and the cops came to my door, and they beat on my door. And I called a certain number, and I had them cops removed. And then, this mentally retarded redneck scumbag has my house phone, and she's illegally siphoning my data plan. And, it's like, okay, well, then you were stupid enough to put your hands on someone else's on someone else's property. Well, then you're stupid enough. You're stupid enough to put your hands on someone else's private property. Well, then you're stupid enough to be charged with someone else's dirt. And it's friggin' hilarious. It's friggin' hilarious that this retarded bitch is saying, oh, I got all this evidence. I got all this recording. I got all this evidence. Okay, well, you have all this evidence on someone, just like you say, but you're the one holding the evidence like an asshole. So you're the only one we see holding this supposed